my name is Alice, and my theory today is expectancy violation theory. So to start off, I can give you a bit of a bare bone definition of the theory, which is the theory of communication that analyzes how individuals respond to anticipated violations of social norms and expectations. I guess, like, in my own words, this theory is pretty much like how we react to changes based on behaviors and expectations of people in general, right? While doing the research for this theory, there was two things that stood out to me that I would consider very important to mention. And those two things is not all violations are bad. So, the word violation, it's usually mentioned in a bad way, like, oh, you violated my privacy, or you violated my space. With this theory, violations can come out to be good, like positive violations. So whatever they did that was unexpected, right, could benefit you in some way. And the other thing was, depending if you know the person or not, the reaction of the violation can vary. So there are 6 main points to this theory, considered very important, very much kind of is the skeletons of this theory, excuse me. So we'll start with space relations, right? We have proximity, which is the study of a person's use of space. So like right now, I'm in my room, creating this video. There's personal space, the individual's variation uses space and distance. So I guess I can use the room example again, right? We're in my room. And then there's proximity zone, which this is very important with this theory, right? And there's 4 zones. There's intimate, there's personal, there's social, and there's public. And so we have a set, like a defined feet on each of those zones. So we'll start with intimate, right? Intimate ranges from 0 to 18 inches. So that might be like my partner, for example, right? We're hugging each other, we're holding hands. You don't do that with a random stranger, right? At least I hope not. Anywho, and then next would be personal, which ranges from 18 inches to 4 feet. That could be like your friend, maybe your mom, your dad, your brother. They would be in your personal space, right? Or personal range. And then next we have social, which ranges from 4 to 12 feet. So that could be like, let's say your coworkers, for example, right? You're not really friends with them, you just work with them, so there's a bit of distance there. And then lastly is public, which ranges from 12 feet and onwards. So this is like, I guess an example would be like being in public in general, like there's you and some random stranger that's like really far from you, right? That's one way. Another point and in space relations that's very important is called territoriality, which is the person's ownership of an area or an object. There's 3 different types of territories. There's primary territory, secondary territory, and public territory. Primary territory is a person's exclusive dominance over an area or an object. Hey, you need to get off. That's my seat.
What do you mean?
It's my seat.
I'm
you don't get off, I'm gonna drive you.
Dude, I'm already sitting here.
In my example, I kind of, which hopefully you'll see kind of how I show it, right? Maybe in a little bit of a aggressive manner, right? With me wanting, like, that's my chair, get off it, right? Me asserting dominance over that area and space. Next, there's secondary territories, which is a person's affiliation with an area or an object. Oh, I gotta get the company's iPad as well. So it's not exclusive to one person, but it feels like an association to somewhere or something. So I know in my example, I used my iPad, or in this case, the company iPad, right? Because it's not my iPad, but it's the company's iPad, and I have some association with that in some way. It's not as strong as the primary territories or primary territory, because, well, you have some association to it. And then lastly is public territory, which is open spaces for everybody, including beaches and parks. Well, that's an example, right? Or in my example, I tried using the building I was in as like, this is public, it's a public space, anybody can walk through there. The next thing that factors into expectancy violation theory is assumptions of the theory. There's expectancies, which is the thoughts and behaviors anticipated in the conversation, right? So with one of my other examples that I do an interview, and the book that I read that helped me do most of the research for this topic is called Introduction Communication Theory. that in the book, specifically in the chapter, they do a interview, and from there they tear down kind of like what you're supposed to be expecting. Like the interviewee, you expect them, right, to be dressed nicely in a button-up shirt, not have their hair disheveled or their glasses like broken or messed up. But also the interviewee has expectations of the interviewer, right? You expect him to be in a blazer, or you expect him to look nice and not have like a crusty dusty Converse shoes with their nice dress and blazer. And then nextly, there is pre-interactional expectation, which is the knowledge or skills a communicator brings to an interaction. So with like interviews, at least just also from personal experience, right? If you can do a bit of research on who you're being interviewed, the place you are being, the place of work that you're gonna get interviewed, let's say like you're getting interviewed by a company, right? You wanna do a bit of research on like the work environment or like what your job is and how it works there if you can, right? Nextly, there is interactional expectations, an individual's ability to carry out the interaction. So, I mean, at this point, it would probably be like, can the interviewee successfully convince the interviewer to hire them, right? Now, the next factor as well to this,
there's a bunch,
to this theory is called arousal. Arousal is just the increased interest or attention when deviations from expectation occurred. So, within the interview, I ask a question with, oh, if you had a boat, what would you name it? And so the interviewee might seem kind of like shock, or might take a minute to figure out, what would I name a boat? Or why are they asking me this question? And the next is cognitive arousal, which is the mental awareness of deviation from expectancy. Nextly, we have physical arousal, which is the body change as a result of deviation from expectation. Next, we have a threat threshold, which is pretty much where somebody experiences like physical and psychological discomfort by presence of somebody else, or in a more basic terms, it's pretty much a tolerate for distant violations. Nextly, we have threat threshold, the distance where maybe you experience a physical or psychological discomfort by the presence of another person. And next, we have violation valorance, which is the perceived negative or positive assessment of an unexpected behavior. So in one of my examples, my partner pushes down my computer screen and I have a positive reaction to it. Even though it was unexpected, since I knew the person or it was somebody I love, I didn't react negatively to it. Now, if it was somebody that I didn't know and they pushed out my computer screen, I would react kind of negatively to it because you did something unexpected. I didn't like it. You're going to be met with a bit of aggression or resistance. Our next and final factor within our theory is called communicator rewards valorance, which is the sum of the positive and negative characteristics of a person and the potential for them to carry out rewards and punishments. So in our case, we were rewarded towards the end of the interview by having our interviewee talk to our interviewer about their personal life with their pets or their family, right? And we get a smile at the end. That's when we knew we were successful in getting him out of his shell a little bit. I guess the punishment in that case would probably be like the interviewee doesn't really disclose anything, or you don't get to really have a conversation with him. But hopefully with the examples that I provided can give you a bit of a better understanding of EVT. Thank you.